We got a super awesome guest on the Underdog Chronicles today, a longtime friend of mine who not only has started and scaled multiple businesses, but has also published 2 of his own books and now has helped over 210 people do the exact same thing by sharing their story. Today's guest is none other than Will Severns. Diving deep into entrepreneurs' life, the struggle that they've had to overcome, as I'm sure you're well aware, a lot of social media, it's all the highlights, it's the highlight reel. Here's all the cool stuff, but just like at Table Setters, which is a community that Will hosts, if you're in the Kansas City area and you own a business, check out Table Setters.
Yes.
I feel like it's important to bring up the struggles and the setbacks that people face because not a lot of people talk about it and not a lot of people want to bring it up. But like we were just talking about before, it's a chip on the shoulder that really helps you get to that next level. So bring it back, man. Where did it all start for you?
Yeah, man. I think the chip on the shoulder's fun. I think about big Baker Mayfield guy, Boomer Sooner. So I'm a big Oklahoma Sooners fan. Got that from my dad who played baseball at Oklahoma. Or honestly, it's Pat, dude. You know, Pat Mahomes. I think it's guys like that, like a Pat, like a Baker that have that chip on their shoulder perpetually that drives them. It's always, I think I posted this on LinkedIn. If you're ever around, bopping around, you can go find this post. I think I did this last week. I said, I've told multiple people this year, entrepreneurship at times feels like the game Temple Run. You remember? That gorilla, baby, that's just chasing you as you're picking up gold coins. It's so frantic. You know, you're just running from this gorilla. It's like, what am I even doing? I'm just picking up gold coins. But then either at the end of the game or you have little points along the way where you get to take a breath. And it's like, oh yeah, that's why. And so dating back in my entrepreneurial journey, which maybe we'll get to, you know, part of my story, I get to share my story, is that's the beauty of it. Dude, honestly, that God gives you an idea and we have the power to take that idea and make it a reality. I just think it's one of the most fun things ever, you know? And yes, it's fun. We get to dream. Some people look at a guy like me, oh, you're eternal optimist, all this stuff, pie in the sky. Well, it's like, yes and no. You have to balance that dreamer with a realism that, what's the rule number 1? Don't run out of cash. It's hard, man. It's so hard, but it's worth it. And excited to dive in a little deeper with you. Grateful that you're creating this space for people like me, because this is a moment in itself that I get to take a breath, even from, if I wasn't here, I'd be leading my team, I'd be grinding, but you're creating a space for people like me to pause and reflect and celebrate and talk about the good and the bad. So thank you, man.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So I know you mentioned, but like, did you plan on being an entrepreneur when you were young? I mean, it seems like it runs in the blood at this point. You're an entrepreneur, your brother's an entrepreneur, he runs Chick-fil-A, you know? So like, was this always something you wanted to do or how'd you get into entrepreneurship to begin with?
No, the plan was third base for the Kansas City Royals.
Okay. So a little bit of a...
Let me tell you how that worked out. Well, you can see it. You can see how that... No, they went with Moose. They went with old Mike Moustakis. I was born into a baseball family, you know, so anything with a ball, you know, baseball, football, basketball. So sports growing up, mostly through high school. So no, the dream wasn't to become a businessman, an entrepreneur, or even in academia. I mean, dude, I was, 200-300 in your high school class, whatever it was.
Shout out Lancers.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go look up Shawnee Machiniste Lancers. You can go look up the records and confirm 250th around there. And then I go to college. Dude, it wasn't until graduate college where it really felt like, okay, now I can start learning. Because quite literally, I know it's part of your story. It's like, hey, 4 walls ain't it for this guy. So I didn't drop out of college, but college, I would say, is where that entrepreneurial bug began with an idea or two. My senior year, a guy came in and started an entrepreneurship program at Taylor University. Yeah, where I went. My 3 other siblings and I went to Taylor. And it was kind of this thing of, oh man, like I needed this guy my freshman year.
Yeah.
You know, I got him on my senior year on my way out. But since then, there have been a handful of awesome organizations, things I've been involved in that have nurtured that. Like, hey, it's okay to be an entrepreneur. It's okay to pursue these dreams, have these ideas. My dad will joke about, he'll say, buddy, when I was your age, we didn't even know entrepreneur was a word. You know, the generational thing is real. Boomers, silent. It's like, dude, wasn't a possibility like it is today. Gig economy, quit your job, get fired from your job. I might go start my own thing.
Yeah.
It's like
glorified on social media to hustle, grind, be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, dude.
That's
Like
the work life.
Yeah. Well, and it's so cool, I think, as it relates to our country. And we live in the land of that we get to do it. So it's cool, actually, I think, given the last 10 to 20 years, that it is that much more accessible. There are more resources for people to do it. So yeah, man, what a time to be alive.
No kidding, man.
For the underdog.
I read somewhere too, this is crazy, that the amount of risk takers in America based on our genetics, because risk taking, supposedly, I'm not a scientist, so don't quote me on it, but can be passed down through DNA. So if you thought about all the people who literally left in the 1700s to come over here and how much less risk averse they are compared to other people, like we are just in the United States beaming with people who are risk takers and, you know, trying to get to that next level. So
that's a great point, that it's almost like it's kind of like a standard deviation, like bell curve, right? It's like early on, what's more entrepreneurial than that? You know, being in Ireland, and it's like, I'm going over there, I'm going to start this, or I'm going to, for my family. And then it's like over the last couple hundred years, there's, you know, industrial revolution and, you know, the factory. Eventually I'm an IBM man. I work here for 40 years. And now it's like, we're coming back to this. It's one thing I love about entrepreneurship is thinking about centuries ago, the Millers, the Taylors, the shoemakers. Your last name was tied to what you did.
yeah.
And it's like, where's that anymore? You know?
Do you know what your last name means?
Are you about to tell me?
No, I just didn't know if you knew. I looked mine up the other day and it was like village leader. And I was like, oh, that is interesting. Yeah.
Dude,
and my
that's
great grandpa, he was the mayor of a town called Dickey, North Dakota. He was the mayor. He also owned a gas station there, and he was like owned one other business. So I'm like looking back and I'm like, is this in my DNA? And then I currently work with a lot of accountants in my marketing firm. Well, lo and behold, I didn't know this until 2 years ago. My grandpa was an accountant. So I'm like, dang, maybe it's just genetically you're like drawn towards.
Our names are very important. I know that. As far as my last name, I haven't done too much digging. I know there's the River Severn, Severn. My last name is Severns, but there is a River Severn in Wales in England. My freshman year in high school, gym coach, he'd take roll. He'd go through our names and he'd get to my name. He'd say, severance pay. And he'd just start laughing. He thought it was the funniest thing. And I had no idea what he was talking about. None of us did. It's a bunch of freshmen in high school.
Right.
He's going, severance pay.
So speaking of severance pay, so my
Good transition.
My mom growing up always told me, go to college, do the safe route, because that's what her dad told her. I think now entrepreneurship and owning a business is actually safer than having a job.
Yes.
Because she devoted 30 years to the Kansas City Star, and they were going through hard times, looked at her name, looked at the number, looked at it as a line item, cut her.
Right.
Gave her that severance pay. And so for her, it was more about security than it was about freedom. So just to kind of bring us back here, were your parents like that, or what was the belief around risk taking, going out on your own growing up?
Yeah, good question. And I think this will probably lead us to maybe a little table setters action. Will be fun, maybe even before shareyourstory.com, just because that's it, man. And I wouldn't necessarily say this or pin this on my parents of like, no, they weren't. Like they weren't. My dad wasn't a business owner. He's worked 30, 40 years in either construction or engineering, sales, marketing. My mom, I guess maybe a little more so. Actually, my mom ran an in-home daycare for about 20 to 25 years. So bro, from the time I was in kindergarten on for the next 25 years, I never knew my house without like 3 to 5 little niños running around. Sure. These little babies. Do you know the last name Tapco?
No.
Okay, they're a Rockhurst family. Dan Tapco was a family I didn't know. Like she had a couple of the Tapco babies, and there are a few, dozen families in town. She kind of earned this little nickname as the baby whisperer. And she had a wait list, dude. People would ask her, can you take my kid? Just because childcare and the cost is insane. And she was like dirt cheap. Like she should have been charging more. So she's not an entrepreneur in the business sense, but yeah, I mean, that's how she made her money. Was she just started something in her home where she could provide and be present for us. So now that I think about it, yeah, it's almost like my mom was a little more, but no, not in the sense of like big business. We're going to grow this thing. Again, I think it's just more generational. I think that our dads, moms, dads, that boomer-ish generation, which isn't a knock on them. Why? Because it's what were they given? Our great-grandparents. You say things you didn't know. You know your great-grandparents? Mm-hmm. You know their names?
Adrian and Lily.
That's awesome. Here's the thing. You also could have just made that up on the spot.
I could have, but that's my middle name. So I was named after him.
All right. Well, I can't. Joseph, for one of them is for sure Joseph, but
I can only do one side though. I can't tell you the other great grandparents.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're listening, watching, what are your great grandparents' names? You can, wrestle with that yourself, but it's even crazy for us to think about. That's just once, twice removed. Well, people know our names. There's the past, there's the present. I'm worried about the future. I'm not worried. I'm focused on the future. My parents broke chains, generational sin, curses in their family, truly, like, abuse, alcoholism, so that me and my siblings could thrive in our own right. So that's it. You look to the past, you take the good, you leave the bad. That's all you can do. And then I've got my own kids now. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to take the good, leave the bad. You think about that. What are our kids growing up looking? What's going to be the thing for them? They're like, yeah, my parents were always looking down at this little screen. I tried to tug their pants to play with them, and they wouldn't get off this freaking deal. That's what that's like one thing I think about or worry about. Anyways, so yeah, from an entrepreneurship perspective, it's so fun, dude. Now we're running that lemonade stand, and my son's like, okay. And I'm like, what are we pricing them at? And Gary Vee's big on that, but yeah. That's one fun thing now about being a parent with that entrepreneur pieces. And in terms of higher ed, who knows where college is going to be in 10 years? It's like, you're not going to college. You're going to,
yeah.
So,
well, I mean, and you think about the amount of like information that's become commoditized. Like they used to hold the door to information, but now it's, it's readily available. Just speaking of kids, Andy Frisella?
Love Andy.
Have you bought his kids' books?
No.
Dude. Oh, man.
Does he do similar stuff like Gary about like teaching your kids entrepreneurship and stuff?
So
I haven't.
So did you meet him when he was in town? Okay, so he came in town.
No, the last time. You remember when Josh went over?
Yeah.
And Josh got interviewed? Mm-hmm. That was fun. That was fun for Josh.
Did you go with him?
No, okay. But Brett and Aaron did. Because I was working with Josh when all that happened.
Those are some names I haven't heard in a minute. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we could dovetail, but I'll keep us focused.
Yeah.
That was my initial exposure to Andy.
Yeah.
Then 75 Hard. Haven't done it. Love the thought of it. I probably should do it.
We can do it together.
Okay. Yeah. We should probably get around to that. But now anymore these days, if I'm listening to Andy, I'm pretty selective on what I will and won't listen. He's gotten...
Especially around the kids.
Dude, he is... Well, yes, he's vulgar in those things, but I'll listen to his the main podcast episodes I'll go to his and scroll to and listen to are like the Q&A for entrepreneurs that'll call in, ask questions. That's when I think Andy's at his best, is encouraging the underdog. And that, like, I'll listen to randomly when I mow the lawn. It's this weird, I guess, thing. Now, when I mow the lawn, I'm just like, boom, I'll pull up for Scylla. When you need that jolt, because not many people get it. He gets it. The entrepreneur, the underdog. And it's really cool to I didn't go when he was in town. I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah. Well, it was a few years ago. So they were opening supplement superstores in Olathe. Jeff and his business partner, Jeff Wasserman, and I can't remember his business partner's name. But so Andy actually talked about this on one of his podcasts. He was like, I want to do some self-help type stuff. And he said there were two roads that I could take it, right? The first one is I could write a book like everybody else does and talk to the adults who, exactly. And talk to the adults who are already out there. But most of the time, adults aren't going to change their habits. The other route was I could write a children's book when these kids' brains are like sponges and super malleable. So he actually started a series called Charlie and Otis, which are his dogs in real life, but he turned them into cartoon characters. And so one of them
that was my next question. Does he have kids?
I don't think so.
Okay.
He's got dogs.
Okay, yeah.
He's got fur babies.
He's got dogs that he turned into kids for the children.
Exactly.
That's great.
But one of them is a lemonade stand. So when you said, or a fruit stand, it's Charlie's fruit stand.
Fruit stand?
Fruit stand, yeah, because she wants this super cool toy, but she ain't got no money.
Yeah. I wonder if he knew... I wonder if he was looking at Gary Vee's lemonade stand going, I can't do a lemonade stand. Let's do a fruit stand. How many fruit stands are we driving by each?
Right.
I've never driven. But I will say, I read randomly enough, Southwest Airlines, shout out to the days. They used to have a magazine in the back of the chair. They did away with, it wasn't Sky Mall. It was like they had like a legit magazine.
Yeah, because Sky Mall was Delta.
No. Maybe it was both.
I think you might have been right. Yeah, I think it might have been Sky Mall.
Yeah. And I don't think it was a Sky Mall magazine. Anyways, there was like a feature in there. I read it a number of years ago, and it was this gal, and essentially the punchline was always stop. You always stop at a lemonade stand. That was her thing. And she kind of had this challenge in there. She was like, take a vow with me that you will always stop. And I was like, sold. Mm-hmm. So if I see a stand of anything, lemonade stand, hot chocolate, whatever it is, always make a point to stop.
That's awesome.
Because you have to. You have to encourage that. We all know that kid could be inside Xbox. Why wouldn't you? It's 99%. And so when you find the 1%, so passionate about that. That's cool. I'll have to check out the kids' book.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to get your new address after the podcast, and I'll send you the books. It's awesome.
It's very kind of you.
Yeah. Well,
and if you're listening to this, send Daniel your address and he'll buy you the books too.
Maybe we'll do a raffle. We'll do a giveaway.
Hey, dude, if you can come up with your great grandparents' names we can come up with a lot of stuff off the fly.
Well, we're both creative, right? You got a marketing agency.
What else will Daniel buy you? All your Christmas gifts for your children. Daniel said he will.
Went through high school, went through college, right? I don't think we finished the thought on the parents though, right? Like you had that little bit of entrepreneur spirit through your mom. Dad was more corporate life, right?
Yes, but my dad is a dreamer. And I think, this will be good and the story will get us here. The first person I saw pursue authorship in kind of my own immediate circle was my dad. So my dad, like I said, coached my baseball teams up through middle school, high school. Then I'm playing for the high school, new coach. Our coach got fired after my sophomore year in high school. So summer after that sophomore year, my dad and George Brett coached our high school baseball team.
No kidding.
Because I graduated with Jackson. Jackson's George's oldest son. It was the most fun, we ever had. Was just playing for my dad and George out there, which is great. And it was either that freshman or sophomore year, my dad released he wrote and released his first book called Keepers of the Sandlot. And so short little plug there. The subtitle is Coaching, Parenting, and Playing for Keeps. And the theme of this book is coaches and parents relax, for the time that your kids have to play, Little League or youth sports, or because it goes by so fast.
No need to be a dance mom.
No, you don't need, my kid's going to play. One of his chapters, for instance, is know the odds. Know the odds of your kid actually playing professional sports someday. And with how small those odds are, just enjoy it, encourage them, build them up. Team sports, use team sports for what they are, to realize how to work in a team. So anyways, so he did Keepers of the Sandlot, which kind of earned him in the community now my dad has done hundreds of speaking engagements. He'll go speak to YMCAs, 3 and 2, because they view him now as kind of, if my mom's the baby whisperer, my dad's kind of the coach whisperer. These parents that are getting thrown out of these Little League games, and they'll go tell him to talk with my dad. Why? Because my dad is kind of now the authority, the root word of authority, author. There we go. And so in retrospect, this many years later, that coincidentally I co-founded a publishing company, it's really cool to kind of empower that and help breathe that new passion and life into an individual that has this gifting, this skill set. It's like, yeah, you can do it. Get that on paper. Own that expertise and what that might set you off onto, which again, I don't want to get in this too. So my dad did it. That sustained the corporate side of my dad for the last 20 to 30 years of his working career.
Meaning he would do corporate, but then he would also get these little bits of, hey, speaking engagement here, get a little bit of a breather from the corporate.
Yes, because what helps you go into that corporate office every day? Knowing at least I've got this on the side. So that's that. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So my dad's got it too. My dad's kind of got that dreamer. So I definitely have that in him. But now as I serve as chief relationship officer, it's like Lauren has said, she's like, Will, you're like living your dad's dream. My dad has been the chief relationship officer. There's just never been a need for the title but what's cool is because my dad grinded and did all those years, that set me up to where I'm at now.
Yeah. Now, did that have any influence on you writing your first book, Gouge?
Yeah. So this is kind of getting into my journey from university is Lauren and I graduated in 15. Lauren and I got married in 16. We were living in Indiana. Memorial Day weekend of 17, never forget it. We had our bags packed. We were heading out to North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Lauren was going to get her master's in public health. That was our plan. People say, public health, Lauren's, epidemiology is what she wanted to get into. People are going, what is that? She's going, it's a study in spreading of diseases. They're going, okay, when will we ever need to have that knowledge?
Yeah. Little did you know.
Little did we know. So it's cool now to look back and think like what God was keeping us from.
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend 17, a positive pregnancy test changed things quite a bit. So that was kind of our back to the drawing board moment. She probably even handled it better than I did because I was like, this is your dream. Like we're going to move out to North Carolina and do the thing. And it's just, man, there was a different plan in store. That different plan is now 7. He turns 8 in a month and Branch is the best. So we had Branch January of 18, moved back here July of 18. I was at a marketing firm in town from July of 18 to April of 19 is when I was let go. So me and your mom got a little something in common.
Severance package.
Severance pay, baby.
Shout out to your
the old gym coach. Got it. He knew something. And April 12th, 2019, boss pulls me into his office. It's like, okay. It's like, yeah, Will, it's not working. There were a few red flags in the months leading up. I was like, I don't know if this is the best fit. And then he pulls you in your office. It's like, okay, yeah, this wasn't the right fit. I had a peace about me that day that I really believe was from the Lord. Will, this isn't you. This work doesn't define you. It's not who you are. It's like, you're good. So, they're talking to me. They're like, Will, now's your chance. If you want to share anything. I'm like, guys, I'm good. I shake his hand, thanked him for the experience. And dude, I walked out of there head held high. Because it's this tension, right? One hand, I got a wife and a 6-month-old at home. On the other hand, I don't have to go back to that desk. Dude, so Drew invites me over that night.
Drew's his brother, for anybody that's watching.
Yes, Drew is my brother, my best friend. I'm sure he'll come up later in the convo. Also is a big fan of yours. Maybe you'll have to get him in the Underdog in this seat. He would be fun too. So Drew that night grills us out. Celebration steaks is what he called them. And we just said, cheers, man, to the future and whatever God has in store. So that was that day, April 13th, 2019, which is the day after. Dude, I send out an email to 30, 40 people in town. I just said, hey, here's my situation. If you could be praying or keeping an ear out. I send out that email. You know, it's on that email. Send out that email. I get a 3-minute voicemail. Not a voice memo. We didn't have memos yet back in 2019. Josh Levin calls me. I missed the call. I have a 3-minute voicemail from Josh. Dude. He's just going, Will, you're going to be fine, bro. He's like, call me. You know, it's just, when you talk about chip on the shoulder, no one knows it like Josh. No one knows it like Josh. And so for a guy like that, he knows that I'm hurting in that moment. So he calls me, takes time out of his busy day. You and me both know Josh. He's hard to get a hold of, but he makes time to call me, to encourage me. That's ultimately what he's like, Will, we need some marketing help. Come on over. This is so fun, dude, because it's working to you. So that email led to my first 3 or 4 marketing clients. They're like, Will, actually, we need some marketing help. Nate Haggerty, shout out if you're listening or watching. You have these guys who get it. They're like, Will, we need some help. And that breathed this entrepreneurial life into me that was like, I wasn't for the desk. Not only was I not for the desk, but this conversation, there's a lot of people that are dying at the desk. Would I have ever had the courage to do it on my own? I don't know, dude. I think it's either one of 2 ways. I think either you're given the boot, like I was, or you have the courage to step away on your own. And that's a hard thing to do. Maybe harder. So my first few freelance marketing clients, Lauren and I put our limited partnership on it, Quill Creative. So we said, this is fun, writing-centric content marketing, which I was doing for Tax Pro Marketer. I was doing for Josh. Unruh Furniture, a few other local ones in town. It's just fun. Social media, blog posts, email newsletter, case studies, that writing-centric content marketing. So I did Quill, got my name in there, QWILL, which was fun. Yes, I'm at Josh's one day, helping him with Empowered Electric stuff. I look up, I see this, tall, slender, good-looking dude. I'm like, wait, I thought, Josh, I was supposed to be helping you with LinkedIn and all this stuff. Daniel Schulte. I'm like, who's Daniel Schulte? Josh is like, oh, he's just this wizard, dude. Like, he's helping me run these ads. You walked out of there that day. I was like, wow, I don't know who that dude was, but he's cool. So it's just fun to think back on that moment, the first time I saw you and your expertise and the way that you have helped so many business owners in town locally, for sure nationwide. But also, yeah, dude, what's your last name?
Schulte.
No. What does it mean?
Village leader.
Dude, I just got chills, bro. Like, you have been a village leader in recent years. I actually think you're just beginning. Part of that, I believe, is this podcast. So cool. Keep it up. Village leader. It's amazing.
Well, dude, just to pause on that real quick. I mean, you even spoke it into me when we got lunch at Jack Stack that one day.
How so? I remember the burn-ins.
As do I. Shout out Jack Stack. Yeah. Hey, if you ever need to sponsor a podcast, let me know. And the roastery, hey, undefeated nitro cold brew, by the way. The roastery. Oh my God. Dude, I went to Price Chopper the other day. They've been out for like 3 days. So I have to go in there. Jordan's going to love this, my videographer. I go in there. I try to get a nitro cold brew. They don't have it. So I got to go to Starbucks, Jordan.
Well, it's really interesting that you're all in on the roastery because, yes, Kansas City knows, but there's a lot of great coffee in town. Mm-hmm. But you're right. Your roastery, ride or die.
Dude, slaps. Best nitro that I've had. So
I thought you were talking barbecue again. Slaps is good too.
I haven't been to Slaps actually. So we were at Jack Stack, and you said to me, you were like, dude, I don't even think you realize like how much is inside of you that is untapped. And I'll never forget that day because it just woke another side of me. And you said, I don't know what you're dealing with internally, whether it's this or that or this or that. But I know that you've, kind of had some of those own struggles too, right? So you have the marketing clients, right? Bring us kind of full circle with that.
Yeah. Which I would even tie a bow now that it feels like we're back in the Jack Stack booth now. Dude, I think even when I said that, if I were to carry on that conversation today and you don't understand what you have, I still believe that. I think for me, truly, it's more of a qualitative. Like, dude, you've got so much quantitative down. It's insane. Like from the day you dropped out of school, you said, this engine's too strong. For four walls. Like you probably in so many ways have the entrepreneur thing on the quantitative side. I think probably when I said that to you at Jack Stack, and I would say it to you now, like from a qualitative standpoint, you don't understand what you have. And this podcast is actually a great example. You're leaning into it. This is amazing, dude. Like that day at Josh's and you help him and then you bounce. It's like, whoa. Like who is... Because you're on to the next. You're moving, you're shaking. The next time I'm seeing you is Lifetime. And dude, I have memories of like Overland Park. I'm grinding in the Lifetime Cafe on those 7 to 8 marketing clients, just trying to spin all these plates. And you and your buddies come walking through, flipping around the whole deal. I just watch you guys flip. I'm just like, what is Daniel doing? That's quality too. But in terms of your expertise, your business, you're leaning into it, man. I'm proud of you. So
appreciate that.
Yeah. Bringing it full circle to my work journey. We'll land the plane, talk sure your story is. So summer 2020, COVID takes a couple of my clients, which is understandable, but it's also the time people started asking me more about ghostwriting. They said, Will, do you do ghostwriting? I'm like, yeah, LinkedIn articles for jobs.
Had you written Gouge at this point?
No.
Okay.
Well, we're close.
Okay.
We're getting LinkedIn articles, blog posts. They say, no, Will, what about helping me share my story in book form, like long form, the nonfiction piece? I'm like, no, but it's super intriguing. So I kind of did a deep dive into that space, ended up writing in a month or two's time, self-editing, self-publishing my first book, to your point, Gouge. So Gouge is available. Just do Gouge Will Severns on Amazon if you want to look it up. Because then it was, well, what's the subject matter I would write on? And these are conversations I was having with Josh. He was like, we'll make it short. He was like, no one has time for this, and he's got all these books on his shelf. He's like, it's got to be short.
Yeah.
And I'm like, totally. So I just wrote a short little deal on deleting social media and the power of, first it was my Instagram, then it was Twitter, then it was Facebook, and not just deleting the apps off my phone for Lent, or whatever. It was like, no, F it. I'm done with this. Like too much time. It's too good. Like that's the thing. Social media is a good thing. And for me, it was a little too good. I was spending a little too much. And so I was just like, I'm done with this. Kept LinkedIn. And I talk about that in the book. It's like, look, only you know in your life what to gouge, right? And there's this verse in the Bible and Jesus is going, gouge your eye out. And it's like, whoa, that's intense. Well, don't actually gouge your eye out. He's going, get rid of the thing that's holding you back. And I think so many people look... It's like their platform that they built for themselves online. It's like they look at the world through that third eye and they can't imagine getting rid of that eye. It's too much a part of who they are. So anyways, yeah, I'm passionate about the idea. I wrote this thing. Coincidentally, I posted on LinkedIn. My now co-founder reaches out and goes, Will, I bought your book. He goes, you're a good writer. You should do this for other people. I said, well, that's kind of why I wrote it. It was really this means to an end to say, if I'm going to help other people do this, I want to know it. He said, well, we should try it together. So Alex Dimchek is my co-founder. I feel like I'm drooping. I might be. Can we hear me okay?
Is he drooping, Jay?
Yeah. We need to... Yeah, we're drooping. Need some Blue Chew.
Some hymns.
There's the hymns.
Keep that in there.
All right, we're stiff.
We're not taking this part out.
We're stiff. All right.
We are standing up tall, buddy. So Alex reaches out.
Yeah, so Alex reaches out. Alex and I worked at a summer camp 10 years ago. We were counselors. Life kind of takes us separate ways. And then in 2020, he goes, Will, I bought your book. I read it. You're a good writer. He said, you should help other people do this. So that's why I wrote it. He said, let's try it. Kind of you on the writing and like me on the writing and editing side, Alex on the post-production. Like, I've got this book, now what? Alex had and has had a public speaking business where he does public speaking. So kind of that post-production, I've got this book, now what? We thought he could help people on.
And if you literally just said this, I apologize, but he had his own book published as well at that point, right?
Yeah.
Or was this before?
Yeah. So Alex had self-published his first book called Thrive U, which highlights Christian college student athletes. And he was getting ready to work on his second one. So yeah, I mean, we both, had explored authorship, but me to a lesser degree, just because I had, just whipped this thing together, self-published it on Amazon, which is still cool. And dude, like there's a little bit of impact there in that I've probably had, 15, 20 plus guys since then. They'll send me a screenshot of their deleted profile after they read it. And they're like, Will, thank you. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Like when you experience the power of like what your words can have on people, it's like, oh man, like we tell our authors, a book makes your message portable. And yeah, anyways, I don't want to go on a tangent. Alex and I said, let's try it. Our first author, Colin Holba, he was an NFL long snapper, a family friend of Alex's. So that's how we got our first sale. We helped Colin write, edit, and publish his book in July of 2021. This morning, which I shared with you earlier before we hit record, was number 210. So we just signed our 210th author that we've worked with. We've published about 110, 115 of those. Maybe, I guess, a little more than that, because I think we have 75 or 80 in the pipeline that we're working on as we speak. So I probably ghost wrote our first 8 to 10 books that we did, and now, and if you go to our website now, which is shareyourstory.com, we don't just do ghostwriting. We will either take your completed manuscript. If you're bringing a manuscript to us, we will vet it and be like, yeah, good job. Let's go. We'll work with this. Writing coach, we'll pair you with a writing coach if you're intent on leading the way writing. Ghostwriting is probably 50 to 60% of what we do because we work with high-performing C-suite financial advisors. But in those early days, man, when it was just Alex and I slinging, I was good enough to get us off the ground. Now we just brought on our 8th W-2 employee. We have about 70 to 75 contracted writers, editors, designers. So man, just as the business has evolved, 2023 is when we put our LLC on it, Streamline Books. And then a few months ago is when we made it known. Yeah, we could get into, so this past spring, we bought shareyourstory.com. I hope it's the most we ever have to spend on a web domain. But we got that term in our heads, share your story and the power of story. And when we saw that there, it's like we couldn't unsee it. And it felt like this moment where God's going like, hey, do you trust me? In terms of that dollar amount. And it's like that investment. And we're like, yeah, let's go. So shareyourstory.com. We have now positioned that as the umbrella with a few brands underneath. So Streamline Books isn't dead. We just moved it under that umbrella. So we have Streamline Books, Story First Media, and Speaker School. So books, media, speaking. Because we found over the years, people don't just want to write their book. They want a little bit more. They want a whole ecosystem that they can do all three. Or if they just want to do the book, that's great too. And they'll take it from there. They'll go do what they want with it. So yeah, man, that's the journey. That's where we're at. It's so fun. I guess the last thing I would say that I've had clarity on this year, kind of analogous. We serve two audiences, essentially. We serve kind of your Moseses, talking Exodus, people in that second half of life that are going, I've got this specific call, this expertise, but why me, God? I don't talk good. And God's going, I know that, you knucklehead. It's your brother, Aaron, and he can speak well. For us, these are project managers, writers, editors, designers, and we pair the two.
Aaron's a rock star, by the way. You're Aaron.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, not to be confused with our director of sales, which is so fun.
Side note,
yeah,
he's a freaking rock
dude,
star.
y'all would just, and I know you guys have talked, but because, like, dude, that is, it all comes down to the sale, and that gifting and expertise in an industry. Okay, so you have traditional publishing, you have self-publishing. We are here. We're considered a hybrid publishing company, and there's this growing little industry, whether people realize it or not. Like, it's here, it's coming, where you can do it.
Yeah.
The people up on stage, from Tony Robbins to Brene Brown, we're saying, screw it. How many people are out in that audience? Have just as much, they're brilliant. Those are the stories we want to go tell.
Yeah.
So 210 authors, sure, we're proud of that. We're excited. It's fun. It's worth celebrating. That's a drop in the bucket compared to how many people out there have it in them. They just don't know the next step to take.
Well, dude, and I'm sure you can talk a lot to this, but a lot of people probably, and I felt this way for a long time, feel like their story isn't important enough, or they're not good enough to tell their story. And it's like, with Gouge, you're getting men sending you pictures, sending you screenshots of them deleting the social media and changing their life. And personally, I don't necessarily look at selling, because storytelling is an art form, but it can also be used to persuade, right? Because it gives the reader or listener a chance to step into the shoes of the person telling the story.
Right.
Right. And to feel that journey of, oh man, here's this before state and here's this after state. And they can go through this transformative experience. And what they don't realize is that selling is not the used car salesman, Grant Cardone, sign on the line that is dotted, Jordan Belfort, right?
Right.
Selling is serving. Because when you sell somebody, that's like the first thing of them committing to transformation. Mm-hmm. So what would you tell to somebody who's like nervous about sharing their story, or maybe they're like, Will, I have this story, I just don't know how to get it out. Like, what is that process? What would you tell that person?
Well, I'll tell you, because I've had 1,000 of those conversations.
I figured you were the foremost expert on this, so.
Dude, I have that conversation every day. My story? No. Who would want to hear my story? We're saying stop. Dude. Which, again, kind of to that Moses piece. Call it imposter syndrome. Call it whatever you want. It's either, and it's a tension, because people are going, people have always told me I should write a book. It's like, yeah, no crap, dude. Everyone has a story. And that is quickly met with, but I don't know. I don't know who would read it. Little old me. And it is so cool to be in a position, truly from a sales perspective, because for us, it's all relationship-based sales. And we will tell people after that intro call, look, we want this thing to be a blessing, not a burden. Financially, time-wise, it's not the best sales tactic, that is saying, you don't need to talk to your spouse. Just sign right. It's like, no, this is too important. Now, in this industry, unfortunately, there are a handful of companies. Won't say names. There's some really good ones, and we know many of them, and we're friends with many of them. And then there's others where it's like, come on, you are preying on people's dreams. What's the dream? To write a good book, to get on a stage. And there are companies that will say, sign up for our program and you'll be booking 5K, 10K speaking gigs in no time. I'm sure you've seen a lot of those too.
It's not just the publishing industry either that does that.
Right. And so that keeps me going. That keeps me going day after day. That's why I don't mind getting on Google Meet after Google Meet to empower people to say your story does matter. And we kind of flip the script a little bit for anyone who's coming in. Yeah, maybe I can reach thousands. Maybe I bestseller status. Screw it. Nope. You start with one. You start with the one person that you were meant to write this book for, which is why, the world needs your book. I mean, the world needs your book. Of the millions of books, does the world really need another book? No. And yes. Yes and no. 8 billion people. No. One person, yes, they need that book. That's why, your point with Gouge. Yeah, dude, like if that's all I wrote it for, and you were kind because you asked me to bring it today, I was like, yeah, I could go back home and pick it up. It might have made me late, so I didn't. So yeah, if you want to go on to Amazon, buy a copy, that'd be very kind of you. Check it out. But it was a moment for me. It'll be a moment for you. For anyone maybe listening, when you get that first Amazon review or that first email or handwritten note, like, I needed your book. Here's an example. Why didn't I become the third baseman for the Kansas City Royals? Because my junior year in high school, I got a really bad case of the yips. You ever heard of this? Mm-hmm. It's like essentially where you forget how to throw a baseball. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. I was pitching one day and it's like the wheels fell off. Yeah, it's a thing. In baseball, it's also really big in golf, also called the yips, where like right before you swing, your hand like tweaks and you'll send a ball. In baseball, it's like either you'll hold onto a baseball too long and you'll spike it into the ground, or you'll release it too soon and it'll just go sailing.
This is like subconscious self-sabotage.
Oh,
happening?
Yeah. It's a really weird thing from here to here. No one can quite, it's this crazy thing. So that happened in like 2010, 2011. It altered my kind of like baseball career. I wanted to play in college. I was third baseman, pitcher. I was like, nope. Our coach just moved me over to first, where I didn't have to throw.
Yeah.
It didn't really affect my hitting. So that's why I played my junior, senior year and had to find enough time. But I didn't play in college because it's like you can't play that way. You can't play with that fear in your head, especially a game like baseball. I share that because that was in 2010, 2011. In 2017, I believe, Rick Ankiel came out with his book. It's called The Phenomenon. Rick Ankiel, again, if you don't know him, was a pitcher for the Cardinals coming up. He was their next big thing in like 2000, 2001. And it happened to him. And there's a YouTube video of it. Yeah, you can go watch the yips happen. Tony La Russa put him in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Here, 21-year-old in front of 50,000 fans, the yips. Something he's been doing his whole life, and all of a sudden he can't throw a ball from the mound to the home plate.
Yeah.
It's the saddest thing. If you've been through that, you're watching it, like I would never wish it on anyone. So years later, he actually coincidentally came back, transitioned to an outfielder, and actually had like a pretty good, ended up having a pretty good major league career because he could throw a ball from the warning track to home plate on a dime, but he couldn't throw it from meaty. It's the craziest thing. So he writes this book on it. I read that book in 2 days because for the first time in my life, I had someone to identify with. A book makes your message portable. Dude, it's just, so there is power in story. People don't buy from businesses. People buy from people. Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
So
no such thing as B2C or B2B. It's H to H, human to human.
That's it. So do you want to ask the AI question or do you want me to just go there?
That's where I was going to go next. Okay. So to give everybody some context, right? So I have a marketing agency, but I also have, we've built all these systems internally. So I do what's called sell the sawdust, right? If somebody can't work with me directly, well, I already have all these things made, right? And there's this sawdust laying over here. So I will take the sawdust and I'll sell it to somebody who can't maybe afford my full services. Not too different than someone who works with you on a writing coach as opposed to having a complete ghostwriter. So I was talking with Aaron and I was like, hey man, like I have all these videos, like couldn't I just transcribe them and then like maybe you guys edit them or like do you guys have a ghostwriting AI yet? And so if somebody's watching, they're like, oh man, they could probably just like ghostwrite the AI thing. Like I've been seeing Aaron's posts that's like, if you think AI can ghostwrite your book, like please do not do that. So dude, like what's the word with AI and writing books nowadays? Yeah, no, great question. And again, I joke, but of course, get the question at least once or twice a week and we're here. That's the cultural moment we're in. So we get it like any industry, that has to deal with, man, how does this affect us or not? Really cool to hear. Thank you for the Aaron shout out because that means that means I see it too. He's doing his job. Like he is on the front lines, like helping people not fall for the easy button. And because one of those big companies that you're talking about, right? The hybrid publishing model, they were doing hybrid publishing and now they just released an AI ghostwriter, AI publisher. Right?
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
There are a few of them.
Okay.
There are a few of them, and I wouldn't blame any company, dude, for going down that route and exploring. You guess what we're doing? We're doubling down on H to H, baby, which I've never heard that term before, H to H. I have heard and used the term human to human, but I like the abbreviation. It's shorter, quicker. That's the only option.
Why?
Because it's all we're going to have. It's going to get better. It's not going to stop. Writing the perfect email, writing the perfect book. Who wants to read the perfect book? Give me your real story. Our ghostwriters, because we've surveyed our team of contractors. Hey, how do you use AI? Do you use AI? Just to get feedback.
Yeah.
The coolest responses, man, from, again, a list of 60, 70 humans. One of them goes, my goal as a ghostwriter, writing is a byproduct of what I do. My goal is to get inside of your head so that I can communicate your expertise better than you can. Because people, 30, 40-year financial advisor, veterans going, how is this sweet girl, that you're bringing me supposed to, what does she know that I'm about to, that's not the point. The point is you bring the expertise, she takes your words and she gets them down on pay, he's going, okay.
To your point with that, sorry not to go, not to knock you off your role here, but personally, I feel like AI is only as good as you prompt it to. So that
everything's the prompt.
Yeah.
AI is, I use AI every day. I'm Team Claude now. I'm away from GPT. I'll use it for some things. Not creation. I will synthesize information. I will gather. I will distill down all day long AI. I'll use it to schedule my crazy ass, schedules, whatever. Recipes, grocery lists. Dude, you're a fool if you're not. It's the tweet. AI is not going to replace you. The person using it is. Okay, so we use it. We don't lead with it in the writing process. You can't. If I told you that book was written by AI, there it is. There it is. We got the world. Hold on, your fingers covering it. The world needs your book. There it is. So we start writing that about a year and a half to 2 years ago. Alex and I are like, let's do it. Let's do our process. I'm like, totally. Alex, I'll lead the way writing. You can pepper it in with your thoughts, whatever. Alex is like, okay. We start, a month goes by, another month. He's like, Will, how's the writing come along? I'm like, I haven't really gotten to much of it. Alex is going, Will, come on. What are we doing? We have to use our process. It's like, you're right. So we used our ghostwriting process. You know who wrote that book? Not me, but also not AI. A human wrote that book, and a human got into my head. Fast forward to, we released this book. We do a little book launch party last December. Lauren, my wife, finally goes, yay, I get to read it. We're in bed one night. She's flipping through. She goes, I can tell where it's you writing and where it's Alex writing. I said, babe. She goes, what? I said, we didn't write it. She goes, stop. I said, Mandy did.
Dude.
And she thought, Lauren was like, oh, shoot, I forgot. Like, I totally thought that you guys were doing this over last year. And it's like, well, we were using our process. So.
And if anybody would know if it's Will's words or not, it would be Lauren.
I would hope so. Okay. And here's the other thing, even from an efficiency standpoint and, input, prompting, output, you could do it in 90 days. You could do it in 30 days. You could do it by the time we walk out of this podcast. We all know that. In serving not just the Moseses, but also serving the Aarons that are going, well, what do I do now with my English degree? Mm-hmm. I loved dotting I's and crossing whatever. That gifting and skill set is a unique bird. And they went to school for it. And now they're going, what do I do with this? And we are saying, you are going to help this person tell their story. We have payroll now. And it is the best, worst day when Alex and I see that go out. Why? Because we're keeping the lights on for individuals that get to use their God-given skill set to do this. Mm-hmm. And that in itself, man, like, we are here. And I truly believe our company, and I think there are others that are preserving this H2H model in the face of AI. Yeah, it's kind of our only option.
Yeah. The other thing AI can't do is, I mean, to your point, it can't create, right?
It can create. It's just, you can tell.
Dude, I got a book the other day. I was just telling my buddy who was over at my house. I got this book. I open it up. I see all the dashes. You know the dashes I'm talking about.
Well, not only do I know them, this is a bummer because low key, I was a guy 3-4 plus years ago. I've always used the M dash. Yeah, Jordan's going, and now that kind of sucks.
Dude, I saw it. I was like, oh, this is going to be crap. It's going to be a bunch of fun. I didn't even read the opening forward. No, I threw it away. Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to read this crap.
Yeah. Well, if you go read Gouge, you can check me on this. 2020, I wrote this piece. I use M dashes. So yeah. So M dashes are one thing, but you can just tell, you can tell in the verbiage, you can tell in our copy editing and publishing option. And yeah, you can go to shareyourstory.com. You can check out all of our packages. Pricing's there anyways, how we serve you. We operate as like a fee-only financial planner. So you pay us a fee. We use that fee to pay an kick butt team. And if someone is bringing us a completed manuscript, it could be your uncle who's had a Word document. I don't know what to do with this, but I want it send it to us. We conduct an editorial assessment. So we have a few designated members of our editorial team who will vet your uncle's manuscript. And so that's our copy editing offering is we will send you an assessment that a human conducts. And dude, they've gotten very good at identifying AI writing.
Really?
Yeah. And
I believe it.
Yeah. And so they'll say, hey, obviously it's not bad writing. It's just not you. Yeah. It's not your voice, and people will snuff that out. Don't do that. Don't let your great grandkid read that.
Yeah. Man, that's a great thing to think about too. My last podcast guest who was on here, Chaz Wolf, he had a quote that basically defined the entire episode, which was, we are raising our grandparents' parents now. And just to think through that lens.
That's really cool. That is a cool crossover from that conversation to this.
But it's like, to your point, like, hey, do you want, this AI gibberish to be what's left? It's funny. I was on the call with Aaron too. And I was like, yeah, so I have these videos.
How many calls have you guys had?
Just one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was the same call. Yeah. And so I was like, man, I basically have my entire process in video form. Could I just take the transcript of it? He was like, just don't upload AI. He was like straight up with me. But to your point, do you want to leave some AI gibberish who didn't go through the story, who didn't go through the hardship, the heartache for certain people, and pass that on to your grandkids? So I'm curious too, is there of the 210 authors that you guys have helped share their story, is there one that really stuck out to you? I know it's like asking a favorite kid.
Yes. Dude, I've said that multiple times. It is like asking a favorite kid. It's also something to say, or another question, are there any authors that you're really excited about working with? Which is, again, all of them. It's also, you haven't heard any of them. They're just good men and women, boots on the ground. A few you would see if you went to our Brian Smith, Mizzou wrestling coach. A lot of guys know Ben Askren or Michael Chandler, UFC. They don't know their wrestling coach behind it. That's Brian Smith. They wrestled at Mizzou, and we helped him write Tiger Style. So Brian's a fun one because he's done all three of our verticals, books, media, and speaking. We run his LinkedIn now.
Okay.
So we're pumping out 2 posts a week for him. Who realizes that he's not writing those? No one. Our team is.
Yeah.
But it's great. He's in season, he's slinging, he's doing his thing. And it's like we're ensuring that there's a slow drip of his content out, which is really interesting, even when you think about from a recruiting standpoint. It's like, hey, what coaches are utilizing this So there's that. And then speaker school, we've, helped him with the craft of keynote, speaker coaching and so forth. So Brian Smith, Leslie Wyrick is a really, she's the sweetest out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Leslie, her story, her son sadly died by suicide in 2016.
Yeah, this is right here.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's fun.
The gifts of grief.
You can read the quote.
So this is on the back of Will's book, but it says, my son died by suicide in 2016. Streamline, which is now Share Your Story, did way more than help me publish a book. They helped me turn my journey of grief into a vessel of hope for others.
Dude. Yeah, we gotta get that video testimonial going. But the written's still really cool because it's just like, dude, she speaks to military bases now. Like you should see these pictures of her in front of, hundreds of.
Was her son military?
No.
Okay.
She's just found her niche. It's crazy. So like straight up the Navy, they're bringing her in because just that audience needs it.
Right.
Everyone needs it. The statistics, dude, way more I'm not going to quote a false statistic, but it's men over women, who are doing it. It's so sad. And, she'll talk about it. Her son, Austin, was the sweetest, good looking 22-year-old college football player. Never would have known it. Right. And now that's her journey, the gifts of grief. So Leslie, obviously she's powerful. Dale Alexander, he was probably author 6 or 7. He was one of Drew's mentors, lives down in Jax Beach. Alex and I are just starting out, we're slinging, and Drew goes, Dale, Will and Alex will take care of you. They'll do, so Drew kind of gets the assist, for sure gets the assist. And us getting to help Dale, he did the talk about money. And his passion is financial literacy for the next generation. So we do Dale's book, The Talk About Money. Dale has a couple friends at the Georgia State Board of Education. They said, Dale, we're sold. So they ordered 120,000 copies of Dale's book for graduating seniors, for 120,000 graduating seniors in the state of Georgia. We can't do that.
Yeah.
Dale did that, So I truly think one of the best things we can do for any of these authors is set realistic expectations for them on the front end so they're not hurt on the back end because they don't become something that we would promise them they would be.
Yeah.
We say start with one, as I mentioned. Dale goes, yes, I'm trying to reach one kid and encourage him what to do with that first big paycheck you earn after high school or college. So start with one, and then after that, anything's gravy. He leveraged his relationships, his connections, made it happen. He wants that book in the hands of every graduating senior in America, and he has a tool to do it now.
That's amazing, dude. I tell my clients whenever I'm working with them, I'm like, look, we're not trying to go after everybody, right? Because when you talk to everyone, you really talk to no one.
Right.
So what I tell them to do is I'm like, hey, I call it a rich niche, right? Your cash cow clients, because wealthy clients, they want to work with better clients, right? So I say, who do you like to work with the most, right? Like you don't want to build a business that you hate. So who do you like to work with? For you guys, it's people who have a story that they want to share, right?
Which is a lot of people in America.
A lot of people. So who do you like to work with? Who can you get the best results for? And then who can pay you, right? And when we really narrow that down, it makes it so easy to communicate to that person, but you don't realize how many of them there are in America. I mean, there's 330 million people in America alone, 8 billion people. Like, you don't think 1,000 of them are going through the same problem right now?
Right.
And I was watching a video. I can't remember who the founder was, but he was like, when you're making a product, I think maybe it was Netflix founder. Is that Reid Hoffman or is that LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Anyway, he's one of the software billionaires. He said, don't think about creating a software for 10,000 people. He said, create a software for one person and make it so good for that one person that they can't help but share it with somebody else. Because when they share it with somebody else, that person's probably going through the exact same problems as the person you built it for.
You should have shared that quote way earlier in this conversation. Or maybe now is the perfect time because, dude, that is exactly what we were on. There are people for years that are just burning to share their deal, book media or speaking form, and they haven't either known when or how or why anyone would listen. And we're helping them overcome each one of those areas.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, it's so fun. I'm so grateful to do it, pursue it, with a friend, my co-founder, my partner, is a friend, and we're learning every day. And now we're leading a team, and all that is a blast just to kind of work it back, to the entrepreneurship piece. And it's hard every day. He and I we got invited to this, deal down at Hobby Lobby last year in Oklahoma City. It was a Maxwell event. So Maxwell's up there speaking about high road leadership. He goes, high road leaders, he goes, high road leaders don't have 2 good days in a row. It's like, oh man, that's kind of true. It's like, you can be flying. Today's been a good day. I've kind of had a headache. It's like, I don't know what that means tomorrow will bring, but it's just so fun. Even the hard days, you learn. What's the point of just lukewarm, just cruising through life?
100%, man.
Don't want to do that.
So you built a team of 8 W-2, 75 contractors. Man, what's been the biggest lesson over the past year or 2 years building a team? And not only just because it's not just you, but you got Alex as your partner, right? So you got 2 different brains. And one of the pieces of our conversation at Jack Stack so long ago was EOS, which I believe you guys have implemented, right?
Yeah,
so
love EOS.
What's like the biggest learning curve that has been building this team of rock stars?
Great question. So since Jack Stack, which, dude, we've had some great, meal. I was thinking about Red Door too, a handful of years ago. It's just, I wonder where we'll go next. Maybe Housewife here in town.
Slaps.
Oh yeah, slaps. We could do slaps. Slaps leads to naps in the afternoon. So we got to be careful with lunch on that one.
Gluten-free.
Yeah. No, so, okay. EOS, yes. Love EOS, love Traction, Rocket Fuel. Alex and I read it all early on. I know Traction. We've never brought in a full-on implementer. We've kind of just self-implemented. Okay, so over the last year or two, to your question, the meme where the guy is walking with his girlfriend, other girl walks by. Okay, that has kind of, yes, right. Okay, that to us has kind of, think like, we've been, for a few years there, we're walking with EOS, and then here comes Giant Worldwide. Dude, do you know Giant?
I think you mentioned it at Table Setters.
Okay, yeah. Well, get excited if you want to see how deep this rabbit hole goes, because Giant Worldwide was started by 2 guys who now are friends of ours. We look up to and respect, Jeremy Kubicek and Steve Cockrum. Our introduction to Giant was a local leader and coaching consultant in town named Dan Diebel. Dan was a pastor in town for about 18, 19 years, and then he left the church. He left that Lower C church. He's still part of the Capital C church, and he started his own business. He had the courage to leave a nice, great position where he was well loved, well respected as a pastor. Started Lost Ball Consulting. So Dan has Lost Ball now. He has fast forward to today. He has a roster of coaches. He leads, but they kind of what they bolted on. So where you have EOS, you get certified.
Yeah.
Dan got certified in Giant. So Giant Worldwide. And so Dan's talking to me and Alex. He goes, guys, what EOS is to your operations, Giant is to your people. And so, dude, what Giant does is nails down your voice, how you communicate, how you operate alongside other people, because you got to get that right before you can even introduce this operating system. So that has been a game changer. Cannot talk about it enough. Good things enough on this podcast. The 5 Voices assessment. They have this thing called the 5 Voices assessment.
Yeah.
From Enneagram to Myers-Briggs, it's like they know what they took it all into account, but they brought it into the workplace. So you do your 5 Voices assessment. You're either a guardian, creative, connector, nurturer, or pioneer.
What are you?
Do you have a guess? I mean, okay.
My guess, because your CRO is connector.
Correct. So my full voice is connector, creative, pioneer.
Oh, so it's not just one. You can have like different pieces.
There are 16 different types, but everyone has a first voice. It would surprise me very much if you're not first voice pioneer, but go take the assessment. I'll send you a link after this.
Yeah, do it.
And so yes, I'm first voice connector. Alex, first voice pioneer.
Okay.
And we worked with Dan for 9 months last year. He called the working agreement role clarity jetpack, because Alex and I reached this point in our business last year where for the first few years, I was kind of like the acting integrator, right? Alex is visionary. You could even trace it back to our story. He's going, Will, how much are you going to charge people for this ghostwriting thing? I'm like, I don't know, $1,000 or $2,000. Alex was the first to say, Will, you don't understand what people are paying for this kind of service. So, I give him credit. Like, he had the vision. He saw it. I had enough of the vision. I was like, people are asking about ghostwriting.
You were bought in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once he painted it for you.
Yeah. So I have pioneer in me too, but it's not first voice. So I was good enough to get us off the ground, as I mentioned, but we reached this point with Dan where it's like, Will's not an operations guy. We got to get the hell out of there because our business is. So when we identified Chloe, who's now our director of operations, she's brilliant. She's our integrator. What do we do with Will now? Dan looks at me. He goes, I could get like emotional thinking about it. He goes, Will, you're the chief relationship officer. This is after the result of a handful of, like I said, it was a 9-month working agreement, but somewhere in the middle there, he goes, you're the chief relationship officer. So what does that mean? I wrestled with that early on. How marketable is that if I ever go do something else? We see here you're the chief relationship officer, blah, blah. It's like,
you make people feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, right, dude. Glorified HR, what is this? And he goes, Will, it's how God made you. And he said, when you do chief relationship officer well, which in a nutshell, it's like, dude, I take care of our people, our team that we have now. I make sure that they are good. Like, bro, one of the best things I can do for our team is be available.
Yeah.
It's literally what I did before this podcast. I got a call. I went and took it, and it's things like, hey, either Alex said this. What does he mean by this? He meant this. Oh, okay, got it. What's that cost? What's that worth in a business to kind of translate a first voice pine? Alex didn't mean that. He meant this. And they're going, okay. Internally, externally, I encourage our clients. I reach out to them. I send them gifts. I send them, he goes, when you do chief relationship officer well, that leads to the other CRO that the world knows. That's chief revenue officer. And it's like, oh man, that clicked for me. I was like, okay, let's go. So now in terms of our organizational structure, which there's a chart I could show you, it's Alex, Chloe, our team, and this is, Traction calls this an accountability chart. Where's Willie? Willie's at the bottom. One of the best sermons I've heard, I spent a semester in Ireland in college, and I heard the sermon while over there, and they talked about shepherding from behind and the power of shepherding your flock from behind as your little sheep are going along. That's kind of me in this role. And I think it's cool, chief relationship. I've thought I might write that book someday, and kind of put a new spin on CRO to say, take care of your people, take care of your flock. So I see it all like a coach or a manager. This little sheep goes astray. I go get him. Come on back. It's like this sheep is pissed off. Let's go talk about it. Okay, come on back.
Yeah. Dude, okay. Total side note. You seen the meme where it's like leader versus boss? Dude, you should totally, where one's like whipping and then one's like leading from the front?
You know whose office that was in?
Who?
Josh.
Oh, really?
Josh loves that image. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, dude, you should take that and then put a spin on it. Put a third one. That's the shepherd.
Oh. We might need to edit this out so that no one else takes this idea.
This is where it started.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. And just other good memes. We need to keep the meme train rolling.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good word.
Yeah.
That's a great visual.
So where are you guys taking to share your story?
You tell us. When you and Aaron have your second, your little follow-up sales call.
Yeah.
We doing your book.
Let's do it.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
2 months, Aaron. 2 months and I'm good to go.
Yeah,
I'm working on my COO.
Yeah.
So that's why.
No, where are we going? People say to the moon. I say, why go to the moon when you can go to Mars?
Hey, shout out Elon.
why go to the moon when you could go to? No, I'm going Dr. Evil, dude. He says, why make billions when we could make millions? So good, dude. And I was trying to think, like, what's closer than the moon?
To the clouds.
Yeah, bro, that's the other thing about entrepreneurship. We're building the business of tomorrow while executing today. So you're going, Will, where are we going? You know where I'm going? A year-end review at 4:00 with Becca. She's our publishing manager. She's awesome. Building the business of tomorrow doesn't matter if I don't take care of 4:00 today. And so, yes, we have dreams. Yes, we have vision for the future, 3-year vision, 10-year vision, traction. I could talk you through all that. We don't have time, but it's there. It's fun. Traction is your 10-year vision, 10-year goal. No one knows where we're going to be in 10 years, but we have it. And I think that is a tension you live in as an entrepreneur as well. So yeah, man, it is hard for me to think past 4:00 today.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking, how can we serve Becca well, get her feedback into the year, iterate heading into the new year. I love this time of year. I didn't used to like it. I hated the January, February doldrums of the darkness and the cold. Now I like it because I like to reflect on the year. I like to celebrate our wins together. That's what most of the year in review will be. It'll be light. What's your favorite win, Becca, this year? What are you celebrating? It's like, here's what we're celebrating about you and your role. You've helped us grow a ton this year. Any feedback for us? What are you excited about? We'll keep it light. And then we'll get ready for January, baby. We'll have a breather at Christmas. If you're already thinking about 2026, it's too late. We started thinking about 2026, October, November, planning for big year calendar. I don't know when people will be listening to this, but I'm excited for the new year, man. I'm excited to do it again. I'm excited to have you at Table Setters for a full year. Maybe get Jordan in the mix.
Yeah.
Table Setters, shout out. You gave it. Yeah, man. Brad Ellis and I started this 2 years ago for male business owners in town to take it back. And this is why I want to touch on it for just a minute.
Yeah.
And a CTA is to say, if you have that desire in you and you want to go for it, start that legal entity, do it. That's the only prerequisite is we meet the last Thursday of every month. 7-8:30, you have your own legal entity. That's it. If you don't have that, that's okay. No one's blaming you. We do a fire. So the second Thursday night of every month is the fire. So Table Setters is a table and a fire. At the fire, that's any dude in town, mid-need community. Come on. We could get you on the invite. At the fire is where, if you're talking about that idea, well, I am thinking about starting this thing. It's like, dude, start it. We could walk out of here with your LLC. And then guess what? There's a group that meets at the end. So the pairing of the two is intentional. It's fun.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, Table Setters was a super cool first experience for me. And there are just so many insights that I got just from being there,
Yeah.
And cool connections too.
Yes.
I'm like, wow, that's a business. And people, it's just super cool. Okay, so last question for you, because you mentioned the T word, tension, and then I know you got your end of year review, so we'll get you out of here.
No, it's good.
Because again, we don't always talk about the hard parts, but what's been the hardest thing for you that you've had to overcome this past year?
Great question. Overall, leading a team, and I don't just mean professionally. We got 3 little niños that greet me at 5 o'clock, 4:35, whenever I come home, they're running to the door. Dude, I'll just say before we wind it down, you're a very good question asker. Thank you. It's awesome. You're really good in this lane and in this realm. You've asked great questions today. I think there's a lot of power in that inquisitive-based leadership and approach. So thank you before I answer this and we wind down. Yeah, leading 2 teams, first and foremost, ensuring that everyone at home is good and right. And Lauren and I are coming up on 10 years of marriage. So we're celebrating that heading into January. January 30th is our anniversary. So we're going to head down to Sedona and it'll be fun.
Sedona's beautiful.
Yeah, man, we're pumped. So yeah, team at home and ensuring that we're good there, starting off our days and off our days well. And that inevitably, I don't believe really in work life, but I think it's just my life. There's no work life, but it's just life,
Yeah. Dude, I
And-
talk about this. It's not about work-life balance. It's about work-life integration.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's all integrated and it's a beautiful life. Someone just asked me earlier this morning, they said, what's a theme in your life right now? I'm like, we're in build mode. Building a business, building a family. Even if you ask me, what's your next book you're going to write? Or are you going to speak on stages? Yes and no. Like, I will if I get invited, but I'm not pursuing a lot of that. I'm not traveling to go speak. When and if that day comes, great. But it's like right now I'm going to my kid's soccer practice.
Yeah.
You want to talk about my stage? My stage is at night when I'm telling bedtime stories. Share your bedtime stories.
Share your imaginary story with your 3-year-old.
Dude, that's the only stage that matters right now, bro. Yeah. So I'm present, but no, not to dodge the professional. Leading a team is tough. And that's why something like Giant helps so much. Chloe's first voice guardian. Dude, guardian, first voice pioneer. Every voice has a weapon that comes out in unhealth. You know what the pioneers is?
Probably impatience and...
No, it's a grenade launcher.
Okay.
That's the weapon of the pioneer. Because imagine, first voice pioneers, there's a wall over there, we're going to go blow it down. That's a good thing. We're going there. Yeah. It's Alex. What happens when you do this to your team? Whoa, don't, Yeah. So the grenade launcher in unhealth, that's what the pioneer goes to. First voice guardian.
So it's like a double-edged sword, you're saying.
Exactly, yeah. Okay. First voice guardian, their weapon system is the interrogation chair. So guardian ensures that our systems are tight. We ask questions. From a sales perspective, it's like, oh yeah, we can do that for you. And the guardian's like, no, we cannot. You do not let that client into our pipeline. Dude, Giant is insane. And so when you figure out the voices of your team, it says, hey, this is how this person just communicates. And so that has helped a ton. Again, could talk about it for a while, dude.
Yeah.
We could go part 2 on the podcast. Maybe we will someday.
We might have to. Well, I'll need to get on the Table Setters podcast.
Whoa!
Shout out. He has 2 podcasts. He has the Share Your Story podcast, and he also has Table Setters. So speaking of, as we wrap this up, man, where can they connect with you? Where can they get the book? And
we'll say it one more time. ShareYourStory.com. If that's a domain anyone out there listening would have liked to have in the past, I'm sorry. We snagged it. We did it. We bit the bullet. We coughed up the cash. ShareStory.com. Truly, at the bottom in our footer, lead capture for us is a downloadable PDF of that. So that's on Amazon. You could go buy it. That would be nice. But what's nicer for you, go input your email, download the PDF, skim through the deal. It'd be fun. Otherwise, yeah, man, LinkedIn, we're still there. Haven't gouged that one yet. Yeah.
Are you still doing the porcupine?
Yeah, baby. But I've capped it at 200. Capped it at 200.
Really?
Yeah. I'm really fascinated about we could keep going.
We'll need a part 2.
I know. You know what the Dunbar number is?
No.
You ever heard of that? Well, here's the number. It's 150. There was a scientist social scientist in the 1990s. He found 150. That's the number of human relationships that you can legitimately sustain. And it's called the Dunbar number. You can look it up. There's a Wikipedia page. It's the whole thing. I'm very fascinated about this notion, this idea. No one can be friends with 1,000 people, let alone 10, let alone 1 million. So my email newsletter list, the porcupine that you're referring to, I've shrunk it down to 200.
No kidding.
Yeah, and that's not the norm. Join 300,000 people as they hear from me every Saturday morning. Bullshit. I'm talking to 200 people that essentially I'd invite to my wedding. I'm not sharing my photos of my kids with just anybody. If you want that ish, that's in this list. But here's a teaser for 2026. I am working on my next email newsletter, and that one I will take the governor off, and I am going to try to grow that. You want to know the name of it?
What you got?
Long Game newsletter. Generational legacy, entrepreneurship, and patience. Talk about baseball. That's a long game. It's a beautiful game. Soccer, distance running.
Dude.
Long game. Get ready.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming, man. This has been great. If you guys want a part 2, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, smash the like button or tell me to buzz off. Either's great.
We're having you back either way, man. Appreciate
Thanks,
you
Daniel.
so much for coming out.
Appreciate it.